Dear commanders, Monsieur le Grand Maître, d'abord. Dear commanders, dear friends from US chapters, can you imagine the pleasure I have as a Grand Maître, President of the Grand Conseil de Bordeaux et Grand Maître, to be again in US and to see you, really, to talk to you, really, not through a Zoom, but really to talk to you. And normally I always defend Bordeaux in the diversity of Bordeaux. We will talk, and thank you very much to give the floor to the right bank. But I represent Bordeaux, not only the right bank, the left bank, my friend from the left bank, and we need everyone to make Bordeaux stronger. That we need and I am so happy when the left bank is strong because we are smaller. That we have the floor after because we follow, you know. But I just. I am so happy tonight to talk a little bit more about the right bank. I will try many questions I cannot answer, but after you can of course. If maybe my English is not so good, but I don't understand everything. But I just want to explain you what is really the right bank. Of course you know that. But right bank is, and you have a map just close to you, and you can see from the north. First of all, maybe we can talk about 1/3 of Bordeaux, 35,000 hectares, okay? And the situation is from the north, Cotes de Blaye. We talk about Cotes de Blaye. We don't say Cotes de Blaye. You say Cotes de Blaye, okay? But the Cotes de Blaye, it's about 6,000 hectares. It's very nice. We will talk about that after, but Bordeaux is not only the wine. We talk about the diversity, the people, but Bordeaux is also tourism. If you want to visit Blaye is on the UNESCO and the World Heritage, and you have to visit Bordeaux in the diversity, not only Bordeaux, not only Margaux, not only Saint-Emilion, but also the Cotes de Blaye, and you can go through the river, and you can you imagine? It's so nice. You have beautiful small hotel, restaurant, and you can understand the diversity really of Bordeaux. And then after you have the Cotes de Bourg, and if you continue, I need a little bit help. I don't want. I know the map, but I want to be on the right. Then after you have Fronsac and Canon Fronsac. It's just amazing place. You know, Fronsac, Canon Fronsac is also the history of Bordeaux, because in about 150 years ago, the people talk about Fronsac as Pomerol and Saint-Emilion as top qualities, and now, unfortunately, the region of Fronsac lost part of the image, but you have to recover to understand that they make fantastic wine, and it's an amazing place also. But we have a very Fronsac and Canon Fronsac. Just a few notes on my agenda. But I think both, if you take Fronsac and Canon Fronsac, it's about 1,000 hectares. Then you have a very small appellation, the Grave de Vert, with 300 hectares. It's just at the east of Fronsac and Canon Fronsac. Then after you have, of course, some Bordeaux and Bordeaux Supérieur, and then after you have the big block of Saint-Emilion. Now I don't need the notes. I can talk about Saint-Emilion after Pomerol, on the right. Yes, yeah, you can have Pomerol, of course, and Lalande de Pomerol if you want. Pomerol and Lalande de Pomerol. Pomerol is 800 hectares. Lalande de Pomerol is 1,100 hectares, and we are in this place where it's completely different soil. When we talk about the soil, the complexity of the soil on the right bank is just unbelievable. Of course, you have clay, limestone, you have sometimes only clay, you have very deep limestone. This is the reason also it's the complexity, and when we talk about the style of right bank, it's very difficult for me to answer because it's not one style. It's many different styles, and if you had the fact that the human hand is so important when the people make wine, it's different because it's very sensitive job really. Of course, Pomerol and Lalande de Pomerol are more because we are close to the river. We have a gravel stone with some place with clay. Everybody knows that Petrus is really the blue clay at point. We have some place like that, but it's gravel with sand and sometimes clay. And then after you have the block of Saint-Emilion. This is about 9,000 hectares altogether, Saint-Emilion and the satellites. Saint-Emilion by itself 5.5 thousand hectares, and the satellites about 4,000 hectares. In the satellites, you have Lussac Saint-Emilion, you have Puy-Seguin Saint-Emilion, Montagne Saint-Emilion, and you have Saint-Georges Saint-Emilion. Saint-Georges Saint-Emilion is the smaller, of course. In this part of the right bank, of course, is more clay and limestone. You have just a small part with Cheval Blanc, Figeac, La Dominique, which is more close to Pomerol, where you have sand, gravel stone, and sometimes also some clay. If we continue, we have the Cotes de Castillon and Cotes de France. Cotes de Castillon is the biggest, 3,500 hectares, and Cotes de France is about 400 hectares. And we have also the Sainte-Foy Cotes de Bordeaux. Altogether, it's about 30 to 35,000 hectares, which means about small third of Bordeaux appellation. Just in fact, if you want to understand more about the typicity of the right bank, we need to understand, first of all, the political situation in Bordeaux. You have Bordeaux, and then you have the others. You have what we call the prefecture and sous-prefecture, you know, and Bordeaux was so important. Just to compare, 1855 classification with the Chamber of Commerce in Bordeaux, but it was so important that nobody took care about the right bank. And it was after always fighting with the politic. We had the minister, we have the prime minister, Chaban-Delmas, we have deputy minister in Libourne, and every time they fight a little bit together. And the influence of the right bank was always less important. This is one very important thing. The second thing is Bordeaux and the negociants in Bordeaux are very, very important to promote the wine everywhere in the world. And they own 90% of the left bank and nothing on the right bank, just a few exceptions. And that you can understand also that in terms of a distribution in the world, of course, the left bank was more important. Then after you have the social aspect, the size of the vineyard. When you have 100 hectares or 200 hectares, 50 hectares, it's completely different when you have 5, 6, 10, 12, 20 hectares. This is the right bank is more the farmer, the vigneron, the people, they are on the tractors during the day, they are in the cellar in the afternoon, and they are on the invoice during the night. They don't speak, like me, they don't speak good English, and they are a little bit afraid to travel and to talk about the wine, and they have no time. This is also important to understand also the right bank. And I wrote also, I think you have many different things, but to understand more about the right bank, and once again, it's great, and not to we try to be now to forget the period where the people fight from the right bank, the left bank, the Bordeaux and Libourne and Blaye. It's finished. What is the Grand Conseil is very important, that when we do together is to promote Bordeaux. And really, thanks to what you do during the 3 days to promote the right bank, to give a little bit more floor and to have more the roots and maybe the specificity of the right bank. We are more, of course, we will talk about that in the question when you talk about the style. We are more farmers. We are more really people involved really with the earth, with the vineyard. And when we talk about the wine consultants, they are 90% from the right bank. And as a wine consultant, I have 30 vineyards where I work on the left bank. You know Michel Roland, you know, unfortunately, Denis Dubourdieu passed away, but he was a right bank man. And many others, I think the influence, because why? We are not more clever, we are just more in the vineyard, more in the cellar, every day. That, of course, we believe that maybe the quality is, of course, the terroir, but the human hand is so important. And step by step, we talk about the fact that if you are close to your vineyard, and it will be true in the next 20, 40 years with the new waves, when we can talk about that, the organic. Organic is a little bit narrow for me. Organic, it's a big ways, but to be organic certified, it's a street and you cannot go on the other side, but I am more aggressive to say we can go faster and with more elements that to be only organic certified. I think we have to understand that now the life in the soil is so important, the root systems, the mycorrhizae in the soil, many things are so important that if we stay only organic, I think is not enough. Is really not enough, because the organic now we can select some new things from leaves of trees, or it's very, but we are not allowed to do that because we need 15 years to be allowed to use that. That during 15 years we are not allowed, and it's completely organic, but we are not. That we have to open the door and to say organic. The certification for me is very narrow. Well, and I want to talk about also when we talk about the mosaic of the diversity of the terroir. We talk about the clay, the limestone, we talk about the sandy place, we talk about the gravel stone, and then after we can talk about the color of the wine, because on the right bank you have the red, you have white, you have sparkling, and you have sweet, but not a lot, but we have sweet. What in the question, if I want, first of all, to say that the key fact is education. Thank you very much for education. This is a key fact. No education, nothing happens. I think the first step, education, education, education. What is education is sometimes something very simple, sometimes more difficult, more complex, more scientific, but education, we need to understand not only the wine, but I heard about the temperature, I need about what we do in the vineyard, the extraction during the vinification, what we do, what is also the great pleasure we have, and I am not a dogmatic guy, but when you have a veal with this kind of wine is better, and the quality of life, the art of life, many things which is what we promote everywhere in the world. And especially, you know, I have been the Grand Maître 3 years, I remember with Angus Smith, and I stopped, and again 3 years with Eric, and I remember that what you are able to do in this country, you know, the most important place in the Grand Conseil, 36, 7 Commanderie? 37 Commanderie in US. Just in the world, we have 96. Can you imagine? This is really the biggest, and the organization, and what you do is just amazing. But it's not enough, of course. I heard what can we do? Yes, you can do, and we need you. We need you to promote why the art of life. We need to promote we need to increase the community of Bordeaux. It's the young people, is the diversity. What we try to do is with the people, they don't know about Bordeaux, they are afraid about Bordeaux, and the young generation and the woman, more women. I talk about that when I was 9 years old. It was just the big. I talk about the woman. We need more women in the commanderies. Young people. It's not because the young are better than the other, but we need young blood, of course, because it's life. But we need to encourage many things, and also to say that the wine is not only wine. When we talk about tourism, art of life, it's many things that we have to promote together. In terms of question, you talk about the climate, the change, climate change, of course, climate change. I just had my team, and now maybe they are in the vineyard fighting about hail, because the risk of hail tonight, because the temperature in the vineyard in Bordeaux now is 33 degrees in May. We never saw that before. We are in full flowering. It's good. The flowering will be over in 3 days because it's very, very warm. But we are very scared because, of course, we have 32 degrees and we have hail storm. And it's always like that. You know, I remember when we had the first, unfortunately, big hail in 1999. My father, who was alive, you know, we have long life. My father passed away at 96, my mother at 97, and they have long life and there are many stories. And my father said, it's the first time in my life, and I saw some hail in Saint-Emilion. Now we have hail every year, and now we have balloon to fight that. In the balloon we see helium. Inside we put some cell. It's cell, and we go in the yes, and then after instead of ice we have water. But we use that now. We are very well equipped. It's not 100%, but it's a new way, and we have. This is a big change. We have also the big problem with the frost. Right? We never had frost. Angelus, we never had frost. We start in 91, then in 2017, and now it's every year. Every year we have spring frost, and we have big wind machine. We have big candles, and we fight, and step by step, of course. But it's an adaptation of the weather condition. If you talk about really the water, which is very important, you know, when we talk about the soil, the clay and limestone is a key fact to have great wines. It's like sponge. During the winter, they catch the water, and during the summer, they redistribute the water. In the south, in the Mediterranean, I talk more than Mediterranean. From Toulouse to Nice, there are deficit of water, of rainfall. If you are from Bayonne, from south, or Bayonne, Biarritz, to Nantes, we have more rain. More rain than we need. We can talk about 221. I will talk about 221. And by 221, because we have less alcohol, please. By 221. We will talk about the alcohol after also. But really, that the weather conditions change, but we can say on the Atlantic coast, we have no problem with the water. We have sometimes excess of water, but we have no problem with water. But what we have, it's big waves like that, storm, unpredictable weather condition, and we have to adapt it. It's another, but the rich people, they are more able to fight than the other, because the cost is very important. This is a point which is sometimes very difficult also. But about the climate, I want to carry on that with the climate, I think in Bordeaux we never made so good wines, and consecutively the last 30 years. The climate is a little bit more favorable, good for the wine the last 30 years. The last 5 years, it's okay, but the problem with the big storm or frost is more important. But the weather change and certainly to make better wines. And we can move a little bit about the alcohol and the style of the wine. Of course, we have more alcohol now, but it's also waves. Just I want to remind you that if you talk about the right bank, 45, 47, 48, 49, 4 years, in 5 years, more than 14 degrees naturally in the vineyard. Remember the famous talk about Cheval Blanc. Cheval Blanc 47 is 14.7 alcohol degrees. If you are so lucky to drink a bottle of Cheval Blanc, it will not be, it's not a bad moment, it's a good moment. And that for me, the alcohol is a problem, but it's a problem when the alcohol is too high, the extraction too strong, and the acidity too low. But of course 15.5. But we can make great wine on the rye bank in between 14 to 14.5 degrees. The condition is to manage the extraction. We will talk after because I wrote about the extraction. And the consequence, if you have more alcohol, is the weather condition, but it's not only the weather condition, and the human fact also. What we do in the vineyard, because we increase the size of the leaves, if I compare with my father way, we remove a part of the crop, green harvest, and then finally you have an engine with more power and less weight, that you can go faster, that we make more alcohol. It's natural. And then certainly we have a part of the nature, but the human fact is very important. Once again, for me, we can make great wines with 14 degrees. After 14.5, I'd say. But the key fact is acidity, it's pH. pH is very important. This is the root system. The root system is the key fact to have great wines or not great wines. Why you have great wines? Because the soil is able to give space enough to the roots, and the roots can go very deep to provide the water elements, the minerals element, everything. If we have a wine with alcohol and good acidity, I talk about 13.5 to 14.5, and good acidity, I think another point now is extraction. 20 years ago, we talked about 200% extraction, 200% wood, 200% is too much. You can go so fast and it's not possible to carry out. But I really believe that the extraction and the temperature during the vinification and the capacity that we have to catch the fruits is very important. And the winemaking, if the winemaking is clever enough, that's a winemaker for me must be, you know, like a philharmonic orchestra. We are just there to say, oh, it's a little bit too strong. But if we overtake, if we are too strong, I think it's really the wrong way. And if the weather condition, when we have the weather condition, when everything went on at the right moment, when God is just you pull the string and you say, okay, I want water, or I want. When everything is okay, I think more it's okay, less we have to work. We have just to say, okay, everything is okay. Please don't do, because the nature gives you the quality. Sometime, and I can talk about 2021, it's maybe, I think we had to help nature. Just in 2021, just the story, I was with my team in the vineyard, and it was difficult vintage because we had frost. We fight the frost, but then after we had a lot of rain. Till we never saw really the summer. The mid-August, suddenly we say, okay, we have a summer. But we are very scared, and especially for us, Angelus, because we are organic. We had mildew in the vineyard that we lost part of the crop. But when we work in the vineyard in the beginning of September and mid-September, and when we open the berries, we saw that the seeds were not ripe. First element. Then when we crack the berries, when we did that, it was just amazing. Flavor, very, very good. And you say, oh, we have something very good. And then 1 minute later, if it was a little bit bitter. That in terms of vinification way, what we say is we don't have to extract. We have just to catch the fruits, and then after, during the vinification way, you start with just sugar. After the first day, second day, you have 1 degree alcohol, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and alcohol is a solvent. More you have alcohol, even you don't do a lot, the extraction is stronger. That's because we have a technique with us. This year, we increase the temperature, but at 24 degrees instead of 28 during the vinification, that we did the vinification at 24 degrees. And we increase as fast as possible, and then we did the extraction in 3 days, in between 1 degree to 4 degrees. And then after we stopped everything. That just to say that when we are a winemaker and we have, I cannot say the knowledge, I could say more the bon sens, the good sense, because it's not so difficult. It's just something, observation to be in the vineyard, to understand that the grapes make the wine, because the soil.
When you say we stopped extraction, do you mean you stopped punching the cap or moving it up? Okay.
Yes, and it's not, once again, it's a line, but I have not a book, and sometimes I have been able to do maybe 1 day or 2 days more because it's riper or because the taste is different. But what I tell you is more 90%, in 10% because I could say maybe we talk about Fronsac, but we pick some Merlot in mid-October where we had a good ripeness, and we manage the vinification way a little bit longer, but normally what we have done this year. And this is just for me where the winemaker must be. On the other side, you have the world, you, me, because maybe you like this kind of wine, and you like this kind of wine. It's not universal, it's a big diversity. But when you can see the world now, and I travel a lot, we can say that more and more people, they don't like when you have too much extraction, too much tannin, too much oak. I like the oak. And I am not to say from this side, I go to this side, I stop with the oak. No, Bordeaux must need oak. But the reflection with the oak is very important, and especially with the vintage. This vintage or this vintage, or just an example for Angelus, now 50% of our Cabernet Franc age in the foudre, 30 hectoliters, just to manage extraction of oak, but also the reduction aspect. That we work now with less oxygen. If we work with less oxygen, we work with less SO2. If we work with less SO2, we have more fruits, we are more balanced, we are more freshness, and really when I can see what I have done maybe 25 years ago, I think it was normal. And when I open bottle of 90, I am very happy. But what I do now, I think is a little bit different for 2 reasons, because I want to do that, and my boss, my daughter Stephanie, she wants to move a little bit the style. It's not a revolution, but it's an evolution of Angelus, and I am happy to do that with Stephanie. 4 hands is just fantastic with the father to do that together. But really also because more and more I can see my friends in Burgundy, in Rhone Valley, in Spain, in Italy, everywhere, that the people move to make wine which are more drinkable. And as a consumer, really, I prefer to drink 2 glasses than just to see and to say it's fantastic, but just after one glass I stop because it's too much. And the freshness, but we don't have, I am always scared when some people say, we pick the grapes too late, now we pick 3 weeks before. No, it's, you know, my teacher, and I was so happy, my teacher when I was in Bordeaux University was Émile Peynaud, and Émile Peynaud was my teacher for 3 years. And I have many good anecdotes, but one is he talked to the student and he said, you know, to make a great wines is like if you want to buy a house, you go to the specialist of war and he say location first, then the second point location, and the third point location. He said if you want to make great wine, you have also the 3 very important things: harmony, harmony, harmony. But to do that, it's a life. And of course, to make the great wines, it's not decades, it's centuries. Why Latour, why Lafite, why Margaux, why Aubryon was so great is certainly because they have a terroir. But they have also an history, and they have also understand that we need time to understand the wine and what is a great wine. The great wine is not just I show my shoulders and I'm the bigger, but could be. But sometimes when you have wine with a great structure, Latour is big shoulders, but it's big shoulders with little bit polished tannins. That's the fact is really to have the polished tannin. Sorry to be too long, but. We talk about the Merlot and the Merlot, of course, and the style of the Merlot. And I heard that the people sometimes talk about we have to pull out all the Merlot in Bordeaux because it's finished with the Merlot. And I read also that the people say soon we will have Tempranillo in Bordeaux. No, don't care. Well, when I was also a student with Émile Peynaud, one of the best friends of Émile Peynaud was Jean-Bernard Delmas, Jean-Philippe fathers. They were very, very close together. And one of the first guys to organize the Massal selection in Bordeaux was Jean-Bernard Delmas. And as a student, I did the Massal selection Angelus about 40 years ago. And what was the goal? The goal was to choose in the population most sugar in the grapes and the pick the earliest as possible. We finished, but 4 years ago we start with a new Massal selection. It's completely the opposite. That instead of talking about the people arrive behind. No, just be clever, understand what is the nature, that we have the Massal selection is an answer. The rootness, the rootness is very important because when you graft with we have, I heard that the Riparia, Boüard de Montpellier, which was a very qualitative rootness, but it's very superficial, very sensitive with water excess and with the dryness. But now we think about another family, Rupestris, with the roots a little bit more, and we can provide the water. It's another answer. Then after, you can also have the soil. We cover the soil with grass or with many things important to limit the evaporation. Then we have the density, the pruning. We change the style of the pruning. You know, when I was the story when I have the secateurs on a label is just because when I was 7 years old, my father gave me at 7 years old the secateurs to prune the vine with the workers. Instead of my friends, they receive an electric train. That's life. It's my life. and really, when I learned really, sorry, when I really learned when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, my father said you have to go with one of the workers. It was for him the best workers, and I start and I prune and I prune, and I learn. And when I went to university, the people say it's very bad pruning. It's very bad pruning. You have to, and I change the way of working. I change my pruning, and now we come back and we talk about Denis Dubourdieu. When you visit Venetia, the region where there are the problem with disease in the vine, he saw some people, but it was just the old way of working, which come back now. And when I have with my team and the Italian guy, it's exactly what I learned when I was 13 years old. But it's very good for also to understand what will be the winemaking, what will be the growing and the harmony also in the vineyard. We talk about the organic, which is a little bit too narrow for me. We must be more aggressive and to say it's not enough. We have to go faster and to go with more, to be more clever. And we talk about the Merlot, and the Merlot is when the adaptation of the Merlot is good, everything is good. The big problem that the people, they pull out the Cabernet the last 20 years or 40 years, and they plant some Merlot because it's easy. It was easier. Quantity, ripeness, everything, we have quantity. And now it's different, of course, because with the weather conditions, sensitive, more sensitive with the mildew, many things, the people believe that maybe they have to change and to come back, because if you plant Merlot and you have not clay enough, the kingdom for the Merlot is really the clay. That's the reason when we talk about Fronsac, you talk about Petrus, the clay is the kingdom for the Merlot. And if you put the Merlot on the clay, and especially on the cold clay, you will have fantastic Merlot. But if it's not clay enough, put some Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and the Cabernet Franc is a right bank. It's not so adaptable, but it's a fantastic great varieties, and I am a fan of Cabernet Franc. We have close to 50% Cabernet Franc Angelus, and especially 2021 we will have 60%. Because also it's not my fault, but you see, it's just because we have mildew on the Merlot. No, but we are thinking that we will move to 55% maybe in the Cabernet Franc for Angelus. But the Cabernet Franc is really one of the best great varieties. The problem with the Cabernet Franc that you need many different parameters. First of all, in the terroir you need clay, but not too much, and between 10-12% to 20%. More is too much, less is not enough. That's, you have to choose the soil already. But after you need some what you have in Cheval Blanc or what you have in Château Lafleur, or it's gravel stone or it's sandy or it's just clay, because we need hot surface to give the temperature and to make the ripeness faster. Then after we need 20 years. Before 20 years with the Cabernet Franc, it's good, but it's never great. It's many things difficult, and after the last thing, it's not. It's also very important. Is over than 40 hectoliters per hectare. It's never great, but when you have everything, it's just fantastic gravity. Just fantastic, because you have freshness, minty. We have many adjectives for the Cabernet Franc. You have the minty taste. You have the graphite. That's very, very important. You have you have spiciness, and you have a structure of tannins. For me, I can compare, if you want to touch some like cashmere, something which is very polished, not very big, but very long, very fresh, and very intense. And this is a very good answer on the right bank also, on the maybe new ways to have a great wine on the right bank. Alcohol, we talk about that. The temperature, when you pour the wine, it depends what when we talk about the temperature, in the Middle Age, we talk about chambre. The name chambre, it was the chambre, it was the room where we, and the people say chambre, it means that the temperature where you drink the wine. But if you are in Mauritius Island and you are just on the seaside, it's 28 degrees. I did that, that's a reason. You have just your foot in the water and you have Grand Vin, top wines, and the temperature, they are 22 degrees, and you feel that fresh, and you say it's fantastic. And if it's just you have a room with 15 degrees, you pour the wine at 15 degrees, it's cold, huh? It's very cold. It's important. But normally, the line is the red always too warm, the white always too cold. It's true. It's really true. And if the people pour the white very cold, it's sometimes because the white are not good. But when they are very cold, you cannot. For the red, when they are too warm, they are never good. But really, it's the temperature is very important, and we have to explain that. And sometimes traveling everywhere in the world, we can cross some sommelier. And sometimes I say, with Emmanuel, my wife, Emmanuel, I'm very happy that we travel a lot together, and we love life and wines from everywhere. But sometimes we talk to the sommelier. No, it's a Côte de Nuit, it's a Chambol Musigny, but it's impossible. Put in the ice, and the guy says, no, it's not possible. I say, I pay. But really, it's better. It's better. It's better. Just in charm. But it's just also bon sens also. And personally, I say I am not, it's like the food, the wine, the dogmatic, when people say you have to drink this wine with this food, you have to follow this way, I'm a little bit scared. And now we have 2 restaurants in the family, one in Saint-Emilion, one in Bordeaux, and I talk with our young chef, very talented. We have 1 star, and he's very talented, but I always talk with him also to say, okay, don't be just dogmatic, a little bit, life is just, enjoy life, that's important. Then after maybe we have a question, but I just heard about Parker and the period where Robert Parker was so important in the region in Bordeaux. I just want to say it was good for Bordeaux 20 years ago because it made the floor and in the world. I think the people talk about Bordeaux everywhere. Now, I should say I can do what exactly I want. I have no pressure on my shoulders because I have no one journalist so important. It's just more and more the bon sens, the good sense, maybe your cavist, your retailer, or maybe what you taste, or maybe and maybe you can follow a mix of 5, 6, 7 journalists, but we have no pressure on the shoulders. And this is certainly better because we can follow really for me, the right way. I don't know because I think I don't find really the right way. I am always thinking that we can be on the right bank, I find, but the right way, I don't. But it's really a research to be what we call harmony, to be always. And finally, really, what is the most important thing? It's the glass of wine on the table. You have friends, you are alone, but you want to share, to enjoy this glass of wine. You have to change your idea. You have to be just well. It's something. It's not. You can have life without wine, but it's not the same. And just if you want that your life will be better, and we can talk about the medicine when the people say the wine is good for health. Personally, I never try this way. I think it's too dangerous. I just say that the people, when they drink wine, they are more happy. When you are more happy, you are longer life. I'm for sure. And finally, what I say, and this will be for me just the end, because I think it's good. Huh? If you have one or two questions, of course. But finally, it will be just my passion, really, my blood, really, my family blood. And now, again, because I'm so happy with Stephanie to carry on, to work together, and to work since 2015 with 4 hands in the process, in the winemaking and the vineyard. But finally, it's just to make the wine which is the most expressive for me, and to see people, consumer, they say, they drink one bottle at the table, they say, okay, very fresh, I want a second one. That's really, and also, and to focus and to carry on with the diversity. Certainly not to copy is not something, but just to be really genuine, to keep our the style. What we try to say, we keep the style, and we don't want to be the others. They are very good, but we want to focus more on the style we want for wine. Voilà. Thank you. Question.
Yeah, we have time for a few questions.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Wonderful presentation, and I want to thank you also for your continued support of Los Angeles Commanderie. We've been here many times, and it was very good support, so thank you for that. 2 quick questions. One is, and forgive me if you've already covered this, and maybe I missed it, but could you explain why, after achieving the height classification in 2012, that you moved on and decided to move away from classification in 2022? And the second question would be, if you could maybe comment on the impact of China. You were one of the first big French Bordeaux wine makers to really make inroads into China. I'm kind of curious how that's impacted the closure, et cetera, has impacted your business.
Okay. I knew that sometime I should have a question about the classification.
No.
I won't. Saint-Emilion classification is really also in my blood. I think really, from when I grew up, I was in charge of the school of my children. Then I was in the city hall for 18 years. Then I was also the president of the Saint-Emilion area for 18 years. And I support, and I think the classification of Saint-Emilion is something fantastic to have the emulation. You can say that emulation to push. And it was 100 years later for the politic reason that we explained to you. And I defend the classification because I think it's something which is for the people. They want to increase the quality, to improve the quality. I think it's fantastic. And I defend that, and I have been the most honest in my life to defend that. On the other side, I am owner of Chateau Angelus. I work for Chateau Angelus. Finally, what's happened, people went on the court, and I have not to say it's wrong. Just to say that we talked with Stephanie a long time about that. Do we have to stay? And we didn't do that with Chevalbert and others. But step by step, because we had so many critics, so many journalists, so many pressure on the shoulders, that we say we have many other things to do for Angelus. Now we have the next generation. Stephanie just bought my sister's share just a few days ago now. And we are really optimistic to keep a vineyard like Angelus in the family for the next generation, which is not so easy in our world in Bordeaux. And we say, well, I can say good luck to everyone in the classification, in the new classification. Please, carry on, trust in the classification. But for Angelus, I think now it's really too difficult, and myself, I don't want anymore to have this kind of pressure of court. I just want to be a vigneron, to be a winemaker, to share with my children, now with Stephanie for the new generation, to be with my grandson in the vineyard, and to do not be affected by 10 years of conflict, of court. I have been in a garde à vue, you know, in a jail for 1 day. What I have done, I gave my life to the community. I was in Paris about, you can talk to my wife, about 2 times a month with no money, with nothing. I work for the Côte du Ventoux, I work for the Terrasse du Larzac, but I didn't understand what's happened. It was really a personal conflict, and I said, now it's enough, and for Angelus, well, just we take another road. This is the first question. And for China, the market in China for Angelus is still good, is very good. We have always, as I think everyone in the world, we are a little bit scared about what's happened in China now. We have many friends and we have many comments. We are a little bit scared, but the market is there. For Angelus, the market is also very important in the rest of Asia. We are very important in Vietnam, in Japan, in Korea, in everywhere. But of course, China is important, but is not as strong as maybe some. Maybe the problem for Lafite is maybe more important than for Angelus. And we will see what will happen in this country. But it's an amazing country. But what's happened now, it's a little bit. I think everyone is a little bit scared about the situation. We'll see.
Tu peux ajouter sur le classement que le classement de 2012 a quand même été encore.
Ah oui. Well, just Emmanuel told that because finally I am so happy to see that. About the classification, everybody talk about the classification. The 2012 classification, after 1 court, the classification 1, the 2nd court, the classification 1, the 3rd court, the classification 1, the cassation, the classification 1, and finally we won again. That's and the people say the position of Mr. Castillon and Mr. de Bouard is completely normal. But on the other side, it's a penal aspect. But the classification, Saint-Emilion classification, is strong, and I think the next one will be strong. And I can say for everyone, they want to carry on with the classification. I encourage the people to follow the way. And I say good luck, because it's a fantastic place. We are not there, but we respect, and we will be close to everyone. And once again, I will be also always in a collective aspect in Saint-Emilion, as I can breathe.
One more question, and then we can head to dinner.
That's 2, 3.
I have a question. I've come up with about 6 questions since then. I couldn't come up with a question earlier, but I don't expect to answer it now, but I'll be curious maybe more tomorrow in a presentation. The relationship between a consulting enologist and a winemaker at a chateau, how that works, how that influences the style of the wines. When they switch consulting enologists, is it adversarial? I'm just curious about the whole
No, it's a very good question, but for me, a wine consultant is not someone which must be a wine consultant. We just have to follow the team, and maybe to correct and to be a little bit more on this side, but not to say, you know. I think it's interesting, but I was a little bit scared at the beginning. I say, maybe no, I want to be tomorrow to say a wine consultant. Because I am not Chateau Vilmorin in Saint-Emilion. Chateau Vilmorin is Vilmorin. I am not. I just try to make the wine with the team to improve something. But I don't want to have the pressure and to say, this is the Parker style, this is Hubert de Bouard style. No, it's not my cup of tea. I try just to work with the people in the vineyard and just to cross what I have done during my life with the people, and to try to make maybe when I talk Vilmorin, tomorrow it will be La Pointe, and to make this kind of wine. authentic, really, and not to do the same. It's not a book. As a winemaker, when I arrive I say I have no book. Unfortunately, if you want a book, it's not me. It's maybe another one. It's more very sensitive, very intuition. What do you say?
Quick question. Thank you for coming. You did a great overview of the whole winemaking process, except you left out assemblage. And I'm wondering, is it because assemblage is such a human intervention in wine that it diminishes the marketing story of how pure you're trying to make the expression of wine from terroir, variety, and winemaking? And I think assemblage is critical for Bordeaux, and it's not spoken enough openly. That's my
Well, it's good, but it could be in terms of education, what is assemblage really? First of all, we are region of assemblage because we have different varieties. But then after, we have also to do the assemblage. And when I do the assemblage, I do the assemblage with my daughter and with my team. We are 4 or 5 of us. Sometimes I can say, I would like only this, but it's not possible. A wine is an expression, and it's the expression of the terroir expression. And it's not so easy because when you taste the wine, the young generation, they say, oh, this one is not good enough to go in the Grand Val. And I say, yes, it's very good, but you will see in 10 years, this wine, this part of the wine is very important for the, it's so complex that we have to be very careful with the assemblage. It's not like that. It's not just what shows so well the first day, which is the best, you know. The magic period of assemblage is something maybe we can talk about that and maybe to promote more.